He opened his car window to a beggar, and froze when he saw her face. The rain was falling hard in downtown Toronto that evening. People rushed past with umbrellas, avoiding the woman standing on the corner. She was holding out a trembling hand, her thin coat soaked through. Most drivers sped past her, their wipers swishing, their eyes fixed anywhere but her face. But when Adam slowed at the red light and reached into his pocket for some spare change, he glanced up, and time seemed to stop. The woman wasn't just another stranger. She was someone he had once known. Her face, though worn by hardship and weathered by cold, still carried the same features he remembered from years ago. It was Emily, his college sweetheart, the woman he thought he would marry one day. They hadn't spoken in nearly 10 years, and the last he'd heard, she had moved to another city chasing her dream of becoming an artist. But here she was, shivering on a street corner, holding out her hand for coins. Emily. The name escaped his lips before he could stop himself. She blinked, startled, and at first didn't recognize him. Then her eyes widened with a flicker of shame and recognition. She tried to step back, to turn away, but her knees looked too weak to carry her. Adam quickly pulled his car over and got out, ignoring the angry honks behind him. He ran to her side, gently placing his coat around her shoulders. "What happened to you?" he asked softly, almost afraid of the answer. Tears filled Emily's eyes, and she looked down at the pavement, unable to meet his gaze. She told him in a trembling voice that life had unraveled after her move. The art world was cruel, rent was expensive, and jobs were hard to keep. A failed relationship had left her alone, and little by little, she slipped through the cracks. Shelters were crowded, friends had stopped answering calls, and pride kept her from reaching out to anyone from her past. Now, begging was the only way she could survive day by day. Adam's heart ached as he listened. He couldn't believe that the woman he once admired for her courage and spirit had been reduced to this by life's blows. He took her hand, cold and frail, and said, "You don't have to stand here anymore." "Not tonight." She tried to refuse, whispering that she didn't want to burden him, but he wouldn't hear it. He led her to his car, turned up the heat, and drove her to a quiet cafe nearby. Inside, over steaming cups of coffee, they talked. Emily's voice carried both shame and relief, and Adam's carried compassion. He didn't judge her. Instead, he reminded her of the person she once was, the woman who had painted murals of hope, who believed in second chances. He told her that being broken didn't mean being worthless. As the night wore on, Adam made her a promise. He wouldn't just drop a few coins into her hand and walk away like the rest of the city. He would help her find stability again, connect her with community programs, help her get a place to stay, and even bring her back into the world she once dreamed of. Emily wept quietly, not from sadness, but because for the first time in years, someone saw her as more than just another beggar. Weeks passed, and true to his word, Adam stood by her. It wasn't easy. Emily had to face the weight of her trauma, rebuild her trust, and take each small step forward. But with shelter, therapy, and the spark of friendship rekindled, she slowly began to regain herself. She even picked up a paintbrush again, her hands trembling at first, but steadier with each stroke. One evening, months later, Adam stood before a small community gallery. Emily's artwork hung proudly on the walls, paintings filled with color, resilience, and hope. As people admired her work, she caught Adam's eye and smiled, a smile not of shame but of quiet triumph. That night, he thought back to the rainy evening when he opened his car window. If he had driven on, she might have remained invisible to the world. But he didn't, and because of that, a life had been changed. The story of Adam and Emily wasn't about romance, but about humanity. It was a reminder that behind every outstretched hand on the street is a story, a face, a life worth saving. Sometimes, all it takes is someone willing to stop, to listen, and to care. Because kindness, when given at the right moment, can turn a life around. Do you want me to also trim this into a YouTube narration script format with natural pauses and hooks for retention, so it flows perfectly in 4 minutes?